Hey everybody, welcome to Cast and Core TV. It's your girl, Miss Public Info here with the latest and greatest and sometimes hated updates of the most high-profile cases going on around the country. I hope you guys are doing okay today. Happy Thursday, happy Friday Eve, and also for all you Stranger Things fans out there like me, happy Stranger Things Day. Today is November 6th, and of course, if you are a Stranger Things fan, then you know that November 6th, 1986 is a very important date in the Stranger Things universe. And of course, this is the day that Will Byers, one of the main characters of Stranger Things, was kidnapped or disappeared. I should say the disappearance of Will Byers is what I should really say. Disappeared into the upside down. And if you're not a Stranger Things fan, then you don't know what this means and you are completely lost, and it is totally fine. But I am a huge sci-fi horror nerd. So I have seen them all the movies, all the shows, all the anthologies, all of them, all of them, all of them. And those that I haven't seen, I am quickly catching up on. But I have been a Stranger Things fan since the beginning. I actually worked on Stranger Things on the music end of it. I did PR for the composers of Stranger Things when the show first started, nearly 10 years ago. So it is a great show, and I am so proud of what it has turned into. Netflix has a gold mine on their hand. They know that. So that was just me saying Happy Stranger Things Day. Okay, moving on. Moving on to real things. All right, today we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about Janice Combs. So this isn't this isn't Diddy news, but it kind of is. So it's. So we're going to talk about Janice Combs. We're going to talk about Pras Michel, of course, the Fugees, because he is in some real deep stuff. You guys know about uh, his conviction that he received. He's also in a little bit of federal trouble himself. And then we're going to talk about the actress who unfortunately passed away from getting butt injections. This is an actress known for her work on Married with Children, on her work for her work with the Young MC's music video. She Bust the Move. She unfortunately passed away, and now the woman that administered the butt injections, known as the Butt Lady, boy, she is has been sentenced to prison, and we're going to talk about that. Okay, let's get into it, guys. This is going to be an interesting show today. So let us start with Janice Combs. We're going to start with Mama Combs. We are going to get into it. Mama Combs, she is been accused of some very heinous things, obviously, over the course of time in which there has been all of these civil lawsuits coming out. There's been a myriad of accusations flying left and right as it relates to Sean Combs, but also as it relates to members of the family. And that includes Miss Janice Combs. Now, she was accused of actually helping her son, Sean Combs, steal ownership of Bad Boy. Now, one of the former executives of Bad Boy had actually, claimed that she stole the ownership. This person claims that she forced him to sign over his ownership stake while wielding a baseball bat, he said. Now, Janice Combs is coming back, and she is coming back fighting. Yesterday, she made a statement to Vibe magazine blasting the accusation. So let's talk about it. Now, Janice Combs, which you should know, she's not going by Janice Combs anymore. She's going by Janice Smalls. That's very important because I actually did not know that before working on this story today. I didn't know that the 84-year-old mother of Sean Combs, she's pushing back against these fresh legal claims tying her to her son's, of course, business dealings, but she is now going by the name Janice Smalls. She's filed a motion asking a judge to dismiss former Bad Boy Entertainment executive Kirk Burrows' lawsuit against her, which accuses her of helping Sean Combs forcibly obtain Burrows' 25% ownership stake in the label back in 1996. Now, according to All Hip Hop and Vibe magazines, which are my sources, and I'll put that in the description so you guys can have them, Janice Smalls, this is going to take some time for me to get used to, guys. Janice Smalls insists she had no involvement whatsoever in the alleged incident or in the negotiations surrounding Burroughs's relationship or stake in Bad Boy Entertainment. The lawsuit also claims that Diddy's longtime attorney, Kenneth Messias, and I know I'm not saying that name correctly, so excuse the mispronunciation, was a co-defendant. And Smalls' filing notes that she hasn't resided in New York since 2012, excuse me, and has been residing in Florida at Two Star, of course. And so she's also distancing herself geographically, demographically, personally from the claims that are coming from Burroughs. Now, let's talk about what the stake originally was. So Burroughs is originally bought similar allegations to probably 20 years ago, back in 2023, with a lawsuit against Sean Combs and the attorney, in which he alleged that he had been forced to sign over his stake under the perceived threat of being beaten with a baseball bat. So the newest claims of this include Janice now. And that is why Janice is saying no, because the original claims in 2003, they were actually dismissed by a judge. 3 years later, in 2006, the judge ruled that the statute of limitations had expired. So Burroughs' new complaint seeks to revive this, this issue with the stake in Bad Boy Entertainment by tying Janice, the mother, to the alleged scheme. And this, of course, is a connection she flatly denies. Now, this adds to her legal problems, obviously, because Janice was also mentioned earlier this year in a $33 million in the $33 million RICO complaint filed by a former Sean Combs associate by the name of Dion D1 Best, who flat out accused Janice of helping steal his intellectual property rights, royalties, and publishing revenue. The suit also specifically references the 1998 Godzilla soundtrack hit Come With Me, claiming Best controlled, owned, produced, and or created the song before the rights were taken. Dion Best, that is. And so that lawsuit, however, was dismissed without prejudice back in September. So right now, her motion to dismiss this lawsuit by Mr. Burroughs is just the latest filing, and it is awaiting a judicial ruling. So that is really the latest. We don't really have much information other than that for now as it relates to that. But I will say, listen, I sometimes, well, actually, I do all the time read the tea leaves and try to analyze these cases. So to sort of best guess what's going to happen. But it's very interesting. I don't really know what might happen in this situation. I also don't know how credible any of this is. But what I will say is that where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Because here you have a mogul who obviously did a lot of, dealings on the side. We're talking about Sean Combs and a lot of people coming forward saying that they were, forced to do this, forced to do that. And there was evidence of that that came out during the trial and all of that thing. So, that's neither here nor there. But is it far-fetched to believe that his mother was involved in this. It's not far-fetched at all. I mean, we know that Janice, we've seen purported videos of Janice sort of involved in getting the IVs, after the late party, the late day, late night, 3-day marathon parties that Sean Combs had at his home in Two Star Island. We know that Janice was reportedly, this was part of some of the claims of some of the victims during the actual trial, that Janice a, there. She was present in some of these situations where people were being abused and things were happening in front of her. We also heard claims that Sean Combs at one point cursed at his mother, called her out of her name, and even hit her. Now we don't know how true that is, but those are some of the claims coming out of the Combs camp as it relates amid this trial, this federal trial that has gone on. So that, of course, is unfounded. But what I am saying is, because we've heard so much about Miss Combs, or excuse me, Miss Smalls, and again, I don't know why she's changed her last name. She's no longer going by the Combs name. Of course, she was married to Sean Combs' father. She's a widow of his father, so they were never divorced. So I don't know why she's not now going by the name Smalls, but she is now, and that's the name of that tomb. It's just gonna take me a little getting used to saying this, but I don't know. We don't know for sure. Miss Smalls's involvement in Diddy's business dealings, but we do know that there were things under her name in the business, that he did put certain items under her names. So it is possible that there's some credibility to some of this. Now, the fishiness of this, I will say, is that in to express equity, guys, the fishiness of this with Mr. Burroughs' lawsuit is that he brought this lawsuit with just Sean Combs and just the attorney Kenneth back in 2003, and then a judge, he said, well, the statute of limitation is has surpassed, and so you got to go on about your business. So the judgment there isn't really about the fact that the judge didn't believe it happened or that there wasn't credible evidence or anything like that. It was just the statute of limitation had run out. The issue that I'm having with Mr. Burroughs at this moment, bringing this back to the forefront, is that in order to have a fresh stab at this, he's now included Janice Combs. Why wasn't Janice Combs included in all of this back in the original complaint in 2003? If she was supposedly wielding this bat, which at the time of the original complaint, she wasn't mentioned as the bat wielder, but now all of a sudden she's there present with the bat, all the whole nine. So that's sort of what makes this a bit incredible, or uncredible, I should say, to me, as it relates to the fact that he's now including Janice in this, some 20 years later, in order to get a fresh stab at it after being, completely tossed, you know, nearly 20 years ago. So that is really interesting to me. I think he's going to need more people for this. That would be my analysis there. It sounds a little fishy, I will say, but it is not unbelievable, again, that Janice Combs would not be involved with some of Sean Combs's business dealings. It's quite plausible that she was. Again, she's been involved in the family business. It's not as though she wasn't there. People have said that she's been in certain rooms. Also, her name is on certain things. So, there's this other Dion D1 Best, who is also suing, as you guys heard earlier, that he's suing for the $33 million. That he's saying that she was involved in, forcing him to take over, or forcing him, excuse me, to sign over his rights with that as well. So, I don't know, guys. This is interesting. We're going to keep our eyes on these two civil cases, specifically involving Miss Janice Smalls, formerly Combs, so that we can see what the outcome will be. I'm very, very interested to see what the judicial ruling will be on this one. Obviously, Janice is doing what she's, doing here in terms of, requesting a dismissal is pretty procedural in nature before they move on further into the judicial process. So this isn't exactly like a aha Perry Mason moment or anything like that. This is just really her attorneys sort of table setting their side and just sort of, doing the textbook, well, we move to dismiss, this doesn't hold merit sort of thing. And sometimes it works out. I mean, we saw this work out in the Universal UMG civil lawsuit that Drake, uh, you know, filed against them regarding the "Just Not Like Us" record by Kenny Lamar. So they also requested for a dismissal, and the judge did dismiss based on lack of evidence as it relates to defamation. So the same could happen here in terms of dismissal uh due to the lack of just the basis of the lawsuit. So we'll see what they say. The lack of foundation. They could move to dismiss. They could move to dismiss, or the judge could agree to dismiss for a myriad of reasons. So we'll see what happens there. Let's move on to Pras Michel. Of course, Pras Michel is a part, or was part of the Fugees. Let me get this going here. Praz, of course, has had some federal issues. Many folks know about his issues that he's had with the federal government as it relates to um this issue that he's had with the Malaysia and this Malaysian businessman. So let's get into the latest, and then I'll give you the background on some of all of this, so you all understand what is actually going on here. Okay, so now Praz, it came out today that Pras has actually been ordered to pay $64 million dollars. This is 2 years after he was convicted of illegal foreign lobbying and conspiracy charges. Now, when this came out, everybody was like, what? This doesn't even sound real. Pras is has been convicted, or he's in trouble for illegal foreign lobbying. What does this even mean? So, according to a report from Billboard, um, the judge in the case ruled that Pras obtained proceeds in the amount of at least $64 million dollars from his offenses, which included, conspiracy, witness tampering, and failing to register as an agent of China. Okay. So the ruling was supposed to actually happen several months ago, but it was delayed after Pras had to undergo some sort of emergency surgery to remove colon cancer, which I didn't know he had until this report, actually. So Michel's spokeswoman, Pras Michel's spokeswoman, said the following, quote, they already took $100 million from him, and now they want another 64 million, she said. Now let's get into the original offense, because some people really don't know what went down, or they're confused about it. So Pras was charged with conspiring to make illegal campaign contributions and then failing to register as an agent of China. He faced 10 counts of conspiracy, lying to the Federal Election Commission, and witness tampering. He was accused of making attempts to connect Malaysian entrepreneur Zhao Luo and the Chinese government to both the Obama and Trump administrations. Okay. Now, during the trial, Pras took the witness stand for himself, which is never good. I don't know how many times I am going to tell people, never get on the witness stand for yourself. One of the reasons why Sean Combs was able to survive that RICO, besides the fact that there was just probably a lack of evidence there, um, I think they had it, but that's neither here nor there, is because he didn't get on the stand. If you are a defendant in a case, particularly a Fed case, and also particularly murder cases, do not get on the stand. less is more. Less is more. Just like we tell ladies with the makeup, less is more. Do not get on the stand. I don't care how much you want to actually tell your side of the story. I don't care how much, your lawyers aren't, telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth, or not helping you, or not making you look good. Trust me, your adding to it is not going to actually help you one way or the other. It's just not going to help. Don't get on the stand. Just don't do it. It's just not a good idea, guys, because all you're going to do is get on the stand and muddy the waters. The jury is not going to be more convinced that you didn't do something. Okay. They're not going to look at you. Listen, of course, it's innocent until proven guilty. We know that. But in the eyes of the jury, many times people who are in that defendant chair, they already think he's guilty, or he or she is guilty, depending on what the case is. And you getting on a stand is just not going to help. I'm just saying that. I just wanted to add that because I just think people just don't get it. Okay. So he took the stand and admitted that he accepted 20 million. Here we go. And this is the reason he got convicted, guys. In 2012, in order to get a photo with former President Obama. Now, prosecutors, so basically, he said that he accepted $20 million from this guy, Zhao Lo, back in 2012, in order to set up a meet and greet photo between this guy, Zhao Lo, and President Obama, and he accepted 20 million to make that happen, he said. Prosecutors allege Michel took and let me stop and say, why is that illegal? It's illegal because it's considered international lobbying. Also, you have to also understand that the relationship between China and the United States has not been the greatest one because of China's their attempts to spy on the United States. So you can't do things like that because then you can get caught up in espionage yourself as a United States citizen. So that is the reason why you can't do things like that. And that's the reason why he got in trouble for that. Also, you can't pony out the former president of the United States, Barack Obama. You have no connections to him in that way. So it's all kind of like muddy. Obviously, he told this guy and some other people, across the world that he could do X, Y, and Z, and he had a relationship with him or whatever. And so, but you can't do it. So, prosecutors allege that Pras Michel took $800,000 of his earnings and then sent it to the Obama campaign through an array of straw donors. Okay. And so he also, they say, allegedly advocated for the extradition of Chinese descendant Guo Wengu, and I know I'm not saying that correctly. Prosecutors told the court that Michelle also tried to convince the Trump administration should drop the investigation into this character, Zhao Lo, his role in the embezzlement scandal involving the Malaysian wealth fund, 1MDB, after Zhao Lo paid Pras another $100 million. So that's why they're after the money right now. They're trying to get restitution. The government is, and so Michelle denied accepting the $100 million from Jallo, and claimed that it was an investment for a media business that he was creating instead. He said that he only tried to find Jallo an attorney, that there was no exchange of money. And he told authorities about the Guo Wengu, the Chinese decedent, because he believed that this guy was a criminal. Now, of course, Praz is actually set to be sentenced next month. So in December, Castle Court will be on that. We'll let you know what the outcome is. His attorneys obviously will most likely appeal immediately, both the ruling and his sentencing, but it doesn't look good. I think that, it's just really crazy. I think he's looking at some hefty time on this one. Obviously, he's going to have to, pay back the restitution. He's already paid back the 100 million dollars, so says his spokeswoman, but he's also, going to have to pay back the $64 million. It's really crazy when we see this sort of thing happens with some of these artists that we've known over the years, and it's like, what exactly are you doing? I think that Pras was in over his head. He may have seen a business opportunity. A lot of people do, especially coming from the sort of background he comes from, let's hustle, let's make money any way we can, sort of thing. But that sort of, mindset doesn't translate to all streams of income or to all streams of business. You can't just make money any way you can without knowing what the rules to the games are. And when you're talking about international businesses like that and international exchanges, investments, especially with these countries like China, Malaysia, and things of that nature, Russia, I'll add them into it. You want to be careful. You cannot involve yourself with that. And a lot of times, these particular countries and people from those countries will oftentimes target people like Praz, or, people who are, well known here in the United States, to try and get them to do something for them with someone that is well known here, a government official, because they feel like they have, the notoriety and they can do that. And of course, these people over there, they have the money, but a lot of their money is corrupt. Remember the Malaysia investment banking scandal that Kamora Lee Simmons' husband, um, Mr. Tim Leisner, Goldman Sachs, former Goldman Sachs wealth investment executive, he has actually had to pay millions back, and I think is now serving his sentence because of his bad undercut business dealings that he had going on with the president of Malaysia. So just stay away. Stay away. It's just not good. If you don't know what to do, it's better just to cut that as a loss. All money isn't good money. Okay, so we gotta just move on if you just don't know what to do. Okay, now let's get to our final story of the day, because this is a very interesting story. Obviously, we've been hearing so much on the internet about, women should not get these butt injections. Guys, let's just, work with the good Lord gave us and keep it moving on that. You don't need to get a butt injection. It just really is not necessary. Now, it's easy to say for those of us who have natural healthy posteriors there. And I get that. So, some of y'all could be like, shut up, guys, you don't know what you're talking about, because you're just saying that because you have a little cushion back there. But even if I didn't, this is not something that I would be interested in, simply because I just wouldn't want to have this, situation, going on. And then we're hearing about how, these injections stink, and that you shouldn't get them anyway. Or is it the BBL? The BBL stink, but the butt injections are very dangerous because the the ingredients that they put into the butt injections can get into your bloodstream and actually kill you. And this is essentially what happened in this situation. Now, the photo that you're looking at, that is a photo of Miss Claudia. So Miss Claudia, and let me get her last name. I don't want to say her name incorrectly because I want to respect, and I called her Claudia. It's Cindy. So goodness, forgive me, guys. Let me get myself together here. Um, but this is Cindy and Santangelo. So Cindy Santangelo was an actress. She was an actress that, like I said, was on Married with Children. She was on the Young MC's Bust a Move video. She was someone who was, well known for her life in, the media, life in Hollywood. And she went on to contact a woman by the name of Libby Adame. Let me get her photo up. And let me stop here. And Libby Adame is actually known for, um, giving these injections. And so she went, got the injections. This is Libby Abdame. Um, she got the injections from Miss Adame. Let me see, make sure this is the photo that's up, guys. Yes, this is Miss Adame. So she went, got the injections from Miss Adame. Of course, you see her in her blues there. She was arrested and was on trial for second degree murder because of the silicone injections that got into Cindy's bloodstream and ended up unaliving her. Now, Adame is 55. She was in court on Wednesday and she was handcuffed to the chair. She was sentenced to 15 years to life, 15 years to life because of Santangelo's death. But of course, there were a lot of emotional statements from the family, including her husband. And quote, he said, "I will never have my best friend. My boys want to have their mom at their weddings. It's insane that someone would make that choice." And this is what he said while, Miss Adame was being sentenced in court for this unfortunate and untimely death. Now, Adame also went by the name Latia, and she was convicted again of second degree murder and practicing medicine without a license following the death of the 58-year-old woman, Cindy Santangelo, on March 24th. Now, Adame was at Santangelo's Malibu home on the same day that officials say that she died from embolism that resulted from silicone injection. So she likely probably did the injections in her home. And then, of course, an embolism set up fairly quickly because they're saying that it happened the same day. And of course, Miss Santangelo passed away as a result. Now, Miss Santangelo was a gorgeous woman. I'm going to share my screen where I'm looking at the actual article here. Um, Here we go. That is Miss Santangelo. This is Miss Santangelo here. She was a gorgeous woman, as you can see here in the inset photo. And she was rushed to a local hospital and she passed away at that hospital. Now, guys, you know, Miss Santangelo, gorgeous woman. She's an actress. All these people get everything done. This is Los Angeles. I live here in Los Angeles. This is the home of plastic surgery. I think here in Florida, of course, and there's nothing wrong with getting work done, but you have to get the work done responsibly. It is so important not to get caught up in this. If you are going to get, a BBL, or if you are going to get butt injections or anything like that, you need to go to a licensed doctor. Listen, I don't think it is very good for anybody to go, and this is no judgment on anyone who has gone to these countries. But I don't think it's good to go to the Dominican Republic and Colombia and all these other places to go get these butt injections or to get, all this, body work done because, it's cheaper there or whatever. Sometimes you get what you pay for and sometimes you get death. There were a couple of cases just, less than 6 months ago with two separate cases, two women going down to the Dominican Republic. A woman, she had no family there. She's an American woman, went down to the Dominican Republic. I think she had a friend or somebody go with her or something like that. And they had to call and the family here in the United States and say that the woman had died after the surgery. And that's because you're going to these places like the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Colombia, and all these places. You should not be doing that. If you are an American citizen, you need to be getting your surgeries here done here in the United States, where there are certain product protocols and processes that have to be, guardrailed, and safety measures that have to be done, and all of that. I mean, it just isn't worth your life, guys. Obviously, that stuff can happen here. We saw what happened to DC Young Fly's partner and the mother of his children. She passed away not too long ago from after a surgery that was done right here in the United States in Florida. So these things can happen. Accidents do happen, but they happen at a much more alarming rate foreign, away, out of the country than they do here in the United States. I just don't think it's a good idea. And then seconding on that is getting these butt injections and going into somebody's home going into a hotel room, allowing somebody to come into your home. These are chop shops. That's what they are. They're chop shops. Now this lady is dead, and this other woman is going to do 15 years to life here in the state of California in prison because of just things that shouldn't have been happening. Like, my goodness, there are licensed plastic surgeons that will give you the silicone injections safely. I get it, the cost of everything is going up, but none of that cost is worth your life. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for Cast and Court TV for today. Thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate your presence here. Please do not forget to subscribe and like. Don't forget to engage with us in the comments there. Appreciate you guys, and we will talk to you soon. Okay, guys, we'll see you soon. Peace.